Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
We've got an October 1st council meeting to talk about, rather short, about a half hour in length, and that's all we've got here, so I think we'll fit it in, and then we have a lot of things that are happening around town to update you on. Going to the agenda, not much to talk about on the consent agenda, but when we get to the special business, one fine note, we've been talking about the new HR director for the city, and she made an appearance on her first day, right? Tell us about Denise.
Yeah, Denise Thule joined our team, our leadership team at the city as our new HR director, following on Anne Marie Shanley's retirement in early July. So really excited to welcome Denise to the city and to our team. She comes to us from the district court system, has worked for the state of Minnesota for a number of years in an HR role there, and so this was an opportunity for her to step into more local government work and in a director's role, and so she's getting started and came to the council meeting on the first day just to kind of get oriented a little bit, and so welcome to Denise.
Very good.
Yep.
Let's talk about the one public hearing that was held, and this was for a long-anticipated restaurant, Crave. How are things going on the construction, and what step was this in their process?
Yeah, so this was the public hearing on their liquor license. So normal process in terms of getting that business open. They are looking at kind of a mid-November opening. I know there's a lot left to do there. As you drive by, you'll notice that, but that's kind of what they're predicting. Their new general manager was there that evening. He's been with the Crave organization for a number of years, currently at the Roseville store, and so is going to be coming over to Maple Grove. He lives up in this neck of the woods, so he's looking forward to that change, and we're looking forward to getting them open. So this was just kind of that step in the process to get their liquor license underway.
I bet they're interested to get open for the holiday shoppers.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we'll see if they make it. Watch that location. A couple other items from updates from departments, community development. What is going on there that people should know about?
Yeah, so we are proceeding, kind of one of the items identified in our strategic plan was to proceed with some master planning activities in areas that are poised for development, probably within the next 3 to 10 years. We're underway at the 105th 610 area. That's been a project we've been working on for a few months. Recently, we just kicked off kind of the northwest quadrant of the city up to our borders with Corcoran and Dayton up there. So we're going to be having some meetings with some of the property owners up in that area to advance that master planning. So both of these projects will come forward back to the city council to kind of look at some of those land use options and road alignment, those kinds of things, and how development might play out in both of those areas.
All right, we will keep you updated on that, and a little talk at the meeting about the Hindu Society looking to solar to help out with some power. Tell us about this great opportunity. Yeah,
so they're going to be adding a solar array kind of just north of where they added some staff housing there on the site. If you drive by on I-94 and look to your west, if you're headed west, you can see that housing there just beyond the wetland. So the solar array is really intended to provide power to their operations there and to the housing facility. Several years ago, the council, the city did make provisions in city code to allow these things to occur on sites, and so no council review for this one, more just an awareness and that they're moving in this direction to add solar to their facility.
Very good. You mentioned I-94. Let's talk a little bit about that roadway. It'll be the focus of talk for a number of years here as things continue to move ahead with the construction there. Tell us about what they're looking at right now and what you're looking at as a city as construction comes. You need to do a little pre-thinking to figure where might traffic go? Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so the intent is to maintain traffic out on the interstate, 3 lanes in either direction. However, you know, there will be shifts, much like when the 494 project was completed, you know, from one side to the other. And of course, those lanes get a bit narrower and they move around a little bit. So traffic gets a little bit slower, and the safety factor certainly becomes a concern. So we are certainly aware that, you know, traffic will tend to jump off that roadway if it's not moving real well, just like it does today when we have issues out there. And so we're anticipating an increase in traffic on, you know, roadways such as Hemlock Lane and Elm Creek Boulevard, Weaver out to Dunkirk, out to County Road 30, County Road 81, all of those main corridors through town that serve as kind of offshoots to the interstate system. So looking at that and where we might see some of those traffic impacts. One of the other issues with this project is they're continuing to work on kind of the noise wall issue, and they're in kind of the data gathering phase. Few more meetings involved with that, and then we'll be having some more kind of public meetings and meetings with the city council on that issue before decisions are made about where noise walls might occur along that corridor. So more to come on that project for that unbonded overlay on 94.
And again, the overall time frame of the project is when? Do they have a crystal ball saying when they'll start and when they might finish?
So some construction in 2019 of some of those crossover lanes out there to kind of move traffic back and forth, but the project really will start in earnest in 2020, and then of course that includes the construction of the Brockton Lane interchange as well, coordinated with that.
Very good. So you see how big of a project it is. They're thinking way ahead to be prepared for this. A couple other items to touch on in Public Works. Small cell towers. This was something that was a point of discussion and something you're hearing a lot about in cities. Tell us what that means.
Yeah, so we, well, the state legislature over the last couple of years has been working to try to change some of the regulation about how cities review and permit small cell towers in their cities. A lot of movement towards kind of 5G technology and wanting more. We kind of have the big macro sites that you might see on a water tower at the top of the building, but these are really the small cell sites that could be on a light pole or kind of a freestanding lower profile pole in the community to kind of provide that lower level coverage for cell service in the community. So a lot of drive by the cellular companies to get these implemented. We came through the legislative session with some changes in 17. Most cities implemented those changes, and now there's been a new FCC ruling that sort of preempts some of those controls that we might have at the local or state level. And so that ruling just came out. We're still kind of analyzing what that means. There's like a 90-day period where an appeal could be made. That's anticipated. I just came from a meeting with League of Minnesota City staff was there talking about that. So I think more to come on that. It's an evolving issue. I think I think cities certainly recognize, and we do here in Maple Grove, the need for this technology service for our residents and for even our own government public safety services. I guess it's just the concern about how that shows up in our right-of-way. We spend a lot of money and we pay a lot of attention to what our boulevards look like and how we maintain them, and so some concern about how that equipment gets placed and maintained in the right-of-way. So more to come on that, but it's certainly something that we're monitoring.
Very good.
Yep.
One final note from Public Works was recycling education, trying to get the word out to some folks about recycling and contamination. And I understand it dealt more with maybe some larger housing areas in town. Give us a little background on what they're looking at. Yeah,
so the issue I think really comes down to kind of contamination of recycling materials depending on how they're disposed of. And so really looking at more of those kind of multifamily facilities where we're seeing some issues where things are, garbage is really going into that recycling stream, and then basically that entire load becomes garbage instead of a recycling material. So going to be doing some education on that. We continue to monitor the movement towards organics in Hennepin County. By 2020, we're going to need to have a plan in place to deal with that here, to remove those organics from the waste stream. So that's another element of this that we're continuing to monitor and think about what the best plan is for Maple Grove.
All right, maybe some more updates on that as well. So that pretty much wrapped up the meeting from October 1st. Again, a rather short meeting. There were a couple items you mentioned, but we'll hop into our next part to talk about some of the things happening around the city. And of course, the election is a major topic at this point. What has the city seen as far as turnout of voters, and you still have a need for some judges?
We do. So we have had really pretty good turnout every day since absentee opened. Absentee opened on September 21. We conduct that on the second floor of the Government Center in the administration area. Probably towards the later in October, we're going to transition down to the Emergency Operations Center as we anticipate the volume of absentee voters to increase. But for now, come to the second floor of the Government Center, and we're there 8 to 4:30 every day. The Saturday prior to the election will be open from 10 to 3 that day for absentee voting. So that's kind of a convenient option. We'll be down in the Emergency Operations Center that day. But yeah, really high turnout. In fact, talking with some of my colleagues, I think most cities are anticipating anywhere between 30 to 40% of voters absentee voting prior to the election. And so, it ends up being you know, the election day ends up being a little bit quieter, a little less lower volume. And so, yeah, it's a high level of activity every day. Still need election judges if you're interested in getting involved with that. Judges are paid for their time spent training as well as your work on election day, and it's kind of a fun thing to be involved with. And so information's available on our city website if you're interested in getting involved.
But none of the judges are involved in the absentee voting. So when we're talking absentee and the work the city has to do, really it falls upon the city. Is that correct as far as staffing it and making sure it runs properly?
The lion's share of it does. We do have some head judges that come in and help us on the absentee front.
Okay.
They have a little bit more availability, and they'll routinely come in and help with the absentee process. We probably have 5 to 6 that'll help us out during this time. So we really appreciate that because it, this is in addition to everything else that we're already doing.
Just trying to run the city, right?
Yeah. It just so it's nice to have those head judges come in and help out.
All right. A couple other things happening around town that you might want to know about. If you would like to be mayor for a day, you have to be a little younger.
Yeah.
And you have to go through a process here. Tell us about that essay contest.
So the League of Minnesota Cities hosts a Mayor for the Day essay contest, and it's open to 4th, 5th, and 6th graders throughout the state of Minnesota. And last year we actually had 2 of our students' entries recognized by the League of Minnesota Cities. And so that was fun. We had them in for a meeting. They got to read their essay. And information is available on the League of Minnesota Cities website. And I know we've done some outreach with the schools too. So
very good.
Yep.
There is a job opening at the city, and again, this is a very important position. We've talked about it before. Tell us about the position and what people can do to apply.
Yeah, so this is following on Dick Edwards' retirement at the end of May, and we've taken some time to really look at the structure of our community and economic development functions as well as some staffing needs. And so we've completed that work, and now we're out to recruit for a new director of community and economic development. Great job opportunity. We're kind of combining in those kind of planning and economic development activities.
Right.
Combining those back together. And so the application period is open through October 12th at 4:30 p.m. All that information is available on our website, new job description, organizational chart, all those kinds of things if people are interested.
Very good.
Yep.
October, always a great month to talk about fire prevention. The fire department does a lot to get some campaigns going. Tell us about the Fire Prevention Week this year and what some of the themes are.
Yeah, so fire prevention is October 7th through the 13th, and the theme this year is Look, Listen, and Learn, and it encourages everyone to be aware that a fire can happen anywhere. So really trying to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on there. We do have a Facebook page for Maple Grove Fire Prevention, and that includes all kinds of fire safety tips for all seasons of the year.
Very good. All right, go to the website to find out more about that, and also to Facebook. You might see some purple lights around the city of Maple Grove in October. Tell us about the reason for that. And again, Councilmember Hansen made a mention of this as well. Really an important topic for the city.
It is an important topic for us, and we really strive to spend a lot of time and resources at the police department to address this issue in our community. We've increased some of the training for our patrol officers to respond to these domestic violence issues. We partner with Cornerstone. It's an organization that provides services in the community to folks that are victims of domestic violence. And so I think this is really a great way to call attention to the issue in our community. So if you're outside the police department or town green in the evening hours, you'll notice that both those facilities are lit up purple with lights and looks very nice, and I think calls attention to a really important community. Always want to make sure that if there's folks out there who are struggling with these issues, please give a call to the police department. You're always welcome to call 911 at any time. That's your way into the system, or reach out to Cornerstone directly for any assistance that you might need.
Very good. So notice those purple lights when you do drive by. A couple amenities to talk about at the city and some events going on. Community Center, let's talk about maintenance there, and let's talk about also Central Park, the splash pad. It's a changing of the seasons, right?
It is, yeah. Today it feels like you could be back out at the splash pad, albeit in the rain, but it's a little warm out. But we did our annual maintenance with the pool. They replaced the pool decking. It's really lovely. Added in some colors and some maple leaves, that kind of thing. So that's been kind of a nice new addition, and that flooring was in need of replacement. So it's good to get that maintenance done. And then, of course, the maple maze is back open as well. So just in time for some of these cooler fall temps.
All right, and the splash pad again at Central Park is closed, but that doesn't mean the playground is closed, right?
Yeah, that playground stays open. You know, we even see kids playing out there in the wintertime when
Sure.
we're ice skating out there. So
Yep.
the playground remains available for use.
And you mentioned skating. All right, tell us
Yes.
about skating. When might that come? What
Yeah.
has to happen?
Yeah, usually I think the last few years we've tried to get it open around, the Thanksgiving holiday.
Sure.
I think the temperatures need to kind of routinely be in that 40-ish and below
Okay.
range before you can start to make some ice and then keep it, and then get out of the rain season. Rain is just kind of what kills the ice. So
Yep.
we'll look to see how things go here. It's always that toss-up. I want the construction season to last
Yes.
as long as it possibly can, because we have projects that need to get done.
Sure.
But at the same time, you want those winter activities to kick in. So
Right.
it's a tug and pull with the seasons.
All right, we'll see what happens with
Yeah.
the weather. Speaking of the weather, it is not dampening the farmers market. That
No.
continues on. Tell us about where the market is and some of the products now.
Yeah, so we remain outside through the month of October. Hours trim up a little bit, 3 to 6, still Thursday afternoons. All of the fun activities continue. And then on the last day of the market, October 25th, kids are invited to wear their Halloween costumes, and they can trick or treat at the variety of vendor booths, and that's kind of a fun annual tradition. And then once we get past October and into the holiday season, we'll start to move inside.
All right. Another sign of the changing of the season is some cleanup activities that happen, opportunity for residents, and also you've got some street sweepers out.
Yep.
What is the process of sweeping up the city?
Yeah, so every fall, we do this spring and fall, try to get out, clean up the streets, make sure that more plant material doesn't get down the storm drains and into our lakes, streams, and rivers. That's kind of the main intent of it.
Right.
We start in the areas where there's not a lot of large tree coverage because
sense.
it takes a while in those areas for some of those leaves to fall. So you'll see us out in some more of the business districts, that kind of thing. And then as leaves start to fall, we'll get into more of those neighborhood areas. But kind of an important thing in managing our water quality in the community.
All right, and then mark down Saturday, October 6th. This is the date for you to jump to action if you might have something you want to get out of the house or the garage.
Yep.
How's the city helping out there?
Yeah, Saturday, October 6th is our cleanup day up at Public Works. We're there from 8 to noon. Great time for residents to dispose of unwanted items, appliances, tires, scrap metal. And there is some pricing involved with some of these items to get rid of them. So check out the city website, or the fall newsletter also had information about that.
All right, and the boating season in Maple Grove may be coming to an end, but you're thinking a little bit about boating moving
Yeah.
ahead, and there might be a chance that there's a new boat station at Weaver Lake. Give us a
Yeah.
little background on that.
Yeah, so this is kind of our boat cleaning station to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species. So it's kind of a lower cost, simplified model, working with the DNR on this, but still provides an opportunity for boaters to get their boat cleaned off, and so hopefully those things don't get moved from lake to lake in the community.
Very good.
Yep.
I often tell you about great things happening within the city and the city government, but also partners like the library system do some great things,
Yep.
and there's a neat event coming up here. Give us a little preview of what's on deck.
Yeah, so the library is going to be hosting a 2-part session called Energy from Renewables, Confronting Climate Change, and that's October 10th and 17th from 10 a.m. to noon on both days, and registration is required for that event, so get onto the Hennepin County Library website for the Maple Grove Library. So the University of Minnesota Professor Ned Mohan hosts that session, and so lots of good information shared about kind of renewable energy and climate change.
All right, library's website to find out more about that. Final note we want to pass along, this is a neat one coming up here. We talk a lot about the photo contest that goes on with the city each year, but now there's one going on that has a little different twist to us. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so this is being led by our folks, our staff at the Senior Center over at the Community Center. It's an intergenerational photo and story project. So community members are encouraged to attend a photo session and share their stories, and then at least, the only caveat is at least one person in the group has to be 55 years of age or older.
Okay,
So it's just kind
fair
of
enough.
trying to get that intergenerational perspective.
Sure.
Groups are welcome, doesn't have to be family, can be friends, church, neighbors, can be kind of a serious story or more of a silly, fun story, whatever, however the group wants to approach it. 2 different photo sessions are being held, Friday, November 9th from 9 to noon, and then Saturday, November 10th from 9 to noon as well, and these are both at the Town Green Meeting Room, so kind of right next to the amphitheater there. We do want you to sign up ahead of time time with the senior program coordinator, 494-6514, or if you just give a call to the community center, they certainly can get you connected. And then the photos will be displayed in December at the library and the community center, and they're also planning for kind of a kickoff reception for the project. So the partners in this project, Maple Grove's 55 Forward program, Maple Grove Library, and then Vocal Photography are partnering on this great project.
All right, sounds like fun. So again, check that out at the community center. So that is a wrap of the things that are going on in town. We do want to take just a quick second to talk about maybe some things that you're hearing a lot of calls about.
Sure.
And as you might guess, Hy-Vee is one of those things, but also the Fernbrook Fields.
Yep.
Give us an update on those two projects. How are they coming along?
Yeah, Fernbrook Fields, they are well into the grading, and I was up there the other day, and they've got kind of the road grading cut in now. Okay. It's been a little tough with the rain.
Understand.
It's a little muddy up there. We were on a park board tour a few weeks ago and went up to that site, and I think it's tough to get grading work done when we're continuing to have rain. So. Still on schedule. They're trying to get as much done as they can before we get into the winter season here. But that project likely planned for an opening in July of 2019, so we'll catch most of the mid-season sports season. Hy-Vee, they are going to town out there grading on that site. I know we've issued a footings and foundation permit for the building. I think they're still looking, reviewing on the shell for the building. I know their goal was to kind of get vertical and buttoned up before the winter so they could be working inside over the winter months. So lots of progress happening out there on that site as well.
Very good. All right. Heidi, thank you very much for the update.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time. Let's leave you with some information you might need to know about the city's website. Again, a lot of information there from notes we mentioned today. Next meeting is on Monday, October 15th, 7:30 at the Government Center. You see the city's phone number at the bottom of the screen, and our viewer response line is 763-533-1710 if you have questions or comments for the program. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.